guys, Happy New Year. I want to kick off 2019 with just some things that you should be checking for if you are running a multifamily community to make sure that you are reaping as much reward as possible in regards to your utility billing processes on site. So today's video is going to be about three things specifically that you should be looking for in regards to billing to make sure that you're recovering as much as possible. Part of our program at Southwest Utility Solutions is the utility billing effort. And what I mean by that is not only are we producing like the statements that residents receive month to month with the charges that are owed by them to the property, but we're also working directly with various utility companies to make sure that you as a property are being billed correctly, your rates are appropriate, that you are just basically you're being charged what you should be being charged, as well as your residents. So it's really a combined effort of both of those things. And what I do probably the absolute most, if I were to break apart my week, I'd say between 70 to 80% of my time is spent troubleshooting ways to increase utility recovery for my property partners. And that looks like a bunch of different things. Sometimes that looks like going directly to the utility company and questioning the legitimacy of a bill, or working with the billing process on the ground at the property, making sure that efficiencies are maintained and consistent when it comes to what the resident receives on their ledger month to month, how those charges are billed out, and what charges are actually appearing to make sure that your residents are being billed appropriately during the billing cycle itself. So, three things that I want to bring to your attention today in this video for you to quickly you can call your managers, ask them to look into it for you. They can give you an answer. They're not hard answers to find, but they do create, they are avenues for revenue creation on site for you. The first thing that I want you to call your property and ask if you're doing is, are you maxing through the maximum percentage allowable as far as the utilities that you're billing through on property? And what I mean by this is specifically, what is the common area deduction that you're adhering to on site? The reason why this is important is because different states and different utilities have different rules and regulations. Just to give you an example, in the state of Texas, you can bill through a maximum of 95% of your total city water bill. That is regardless of if you're in a MUD, or if you're like in a MUD district, a municipality, or if you're just in a regular, like you're the city of Houston, where it's not a MUD, it's just the difference there being, if you're in a MUD district, you have some there are about 3 or 4 line items on your city bill that are flat. They're not consumption driven, while other districts where water isn't privatized, they're entirely consumption driven. So that's the biggest difference there. Regardless, you can only bill through 95% of those bills, regardless of what environment you're in the state of Texas. So first thing to ask for, and I guess this is specific to my Texas babies, check and make sure that you are billing through the maximum allowable amount of your utility. For water, that's 95%. The reason why that's important is because you get to collect more of your bill. If your bill is so high that it is abusive to bill through 95%, I would challenge you to seek out ways to lower your utility consumption and thus affecting, your total cost monthly. So that's the first thing. What is your common area deduction and how can you push it to the max? The second thing that I want you to look for is, are you using gas on property? Stick with me, this is a little interesting. So each utility adheres to kind of its own rule book on how it can be played, how it can be billed, and what it can look like for the property, what you can and cannot attach admin fees to, so on and so forth. The gas line item is special. I always encourage my properties to open up that gas line item if it is used on property in a common area of some sort. And this is the reason being, you can't profit off of water, big no-no. You can't profit off of electricity, big no-no. But you can attach an admin fee to a gas line item and bill through a flat rate of your choosing, assuming it's in accordance with the leases that you're signing, right? You got to make sure that you're in compliance with the leases that you're signing. But regardless, on move-ins or renewals, if there's gas being used in a common area on site, you can do two things. One, you can bill it through, and two, you can attach an admin fee to your gas line item and bill through a regular admin fee amount, $2.50, $3. If you're using, a third-party company for something, you can bill through their cost there. It creates a space to create more utility revenue. So that's the second thing. The first thing is check your common area deduction. The second thing is check to see if you have gas in a common area that you can begin to pass through in 2019 and attach an ancillary admin fee to that line item to collect more utility revenue on site. The third thing is kind of like that gas line item. It has to do with water though. So like I said, you can't profit off of water. Big no-no. The water and sewer line item are consumption driven for the most part. You can't profit off of that. It's illegal, it's wrong. It's like having an AMR system, an automated meter reading system, or a sub-metered multifamily community and charging those tenants for more than what they actually used, assuming the equipment is operating correctly. You can't do that. But what you can do is you can operate out of that little line item that nobody really talks about. In Houston, it's called drainage. In North Texas, Dallas, Arlington, it's called stormwater. Okay, so those two line items play by a completely different set of rules. And if you notice on your bill, they're not consumption driven. Here's a little insight for you. If it's not consumption driven, it plays by a different set of rules. So the drainage and stormwater line item were actually created a long time ago with the intention of kind of being a tax. That's kind of, for lack of a better term, what they were. They were a line item intended for properties to pay for improvements done and renovations done within the city. So that's what those line items are. You can attach an admin fee to those line items on your city water bill. So kind of like gas, if you're already billing through those line items. So let's back up. Unlike gas, I'm not asking you to search for whether or not you have a drainage or stormwater, component of your water bill. You do. They're on the bill. It just depends on what city, depending on what the line item actually is, is based on what city you're in. So that's not what I'm asking you to do. With gas, I'm asking you to see if you have gas on site. I know you have the drainage and stormwater charge. What my third request is, and tip for you, is to consider opening up a space for an admin fee to be attached to either of those line items, stormwater or drainage, to be able to recover even more of your utility exposure. You can add an admin fee to it. It's not consumption driven. It's totally legal. You just need to, again, make sure that your leases are in compliance and the expectation from your resident is well known and they're aware of everything before you begin to do it, of course. But that's with everything. But it is allowed. It's completely legal. You can do it because it's not consumption driven, which is pretty cool. So those are three things that I wanted you to be aware of as we go into 2019 to help you maximize your utility recovery on site. This is what I do all day, every day. It's my favorite thing in the world is to troubleshoot problems like this and just different ways to make more money and bring more value to my property partners. And these are three big things that keep sticking out. Checking your common area for utilities, making sure you're maxed out. Are you billing through gas? If not, check, because you probably could be, and you can attach an admin fee to it legally. And your drainage and stormwater component of your bill, depending on where you are in Texas, you can add an admin fee to those two line items and begin to recover more of your utility exposure. Stay tuned, guys. Can't wait to bring more value.